And welcome once again to Investor's Edge. I'm Gary Kaltbaum, your host. Hey, thanks for being with us today. Glad you're here, ladies and gentlemen. Happy that you are listening. It is Friday. It's October 10th. And we'll explain the market to you in a second. We're glad it's Friday. We'll explain in a minute. As always, plenty to discuss. Serious talk on everything that affects you. We'll do the markets, the economy, your job, your industry. This president, and he comes into play in a very big way today. And if you do not get this radio show in your city, we'll post it at GaryK.com. We'll also post it on our X feed. If you don't follow us on X, you should. We'll also post it on YouTube channel, BizTV, the podcast apps also. And if you'd like to email us, just be nice. So on a day where it was calm, market's fine, I'm thrilled with the things we own. We've rode up the big indices since right after April 24th, as they have not once broken the 50-day moving average. We got past tariffs and exemptions and tariffs, down to the point where there's a couple of big ones, but mostly small. And they're pretty much off the table. On a day where we were going to come in today and praise the president and blast the Nobel Peace Prize people for not giving him the Nobel Peace Prize. By the way, they gave it to somebody who deserved it, but so did he. And if you do recall, the Nobel Peace Prize people gave Obama the Nobel Peace Prize. He wasn't even in the Oval Office, so we know just another biased outfit. We were coming on the show to praise him profusely for his diplomacy in the Middle East, as the hostages look like they are coming back. And of course, we mourn the deceased hostages that are also coming back. And then the hook. And as you know, we do everything here without agenda, ulterior motive, or bias. And we've ended up with a I don't want to say love-hate relationship with the president, because hate's a big word. Hate is for Hamas and the people who love them. Let's call them a love-dislike relationship between myself and the president. You know what the dislikes have been. The tariffs, the interference, and all kinds of other crap that is not free market conservatism. But the markets have performed admirably. They got back the Trump tariff crash and more. And out of nowhere today, the president puts out a huge paragraph. I will not read the whole paragraph, but it basically is blaming China. By the way, we're not disagreeing or agreeing with them on them. We're just stating that China is cheating and they're doing this and they're not doing that and they're bad on trade and we were going to have a meeting and now we're not. But then there was a money quote at the end. And the money quote was, one of the policies that we are calculating at this moment is a massive increase of tariffs on Chinese products coming into the United States of America, which means everything that comes in from China that we buy and are bought here, we pay those tariffs, which is depending on what the president comes out with, a big tax hike on us. It ain't going to affect China. So, what was a very calm morning, right now it's 3:25 p.m. We're doing this in the last part of the day. The Dow's down 725. The S&P's down 147. The NASDAQ's down 660. The NASDAQ 100 is down 709. The Russell 2000 is down about 2.5%. The Philadelphia Semiconductor Index, that has been pretty darn good, is down 5.25%. The transports down 3.4%, down about 500 points. Our favorite stocks slammed. No stone left unturned today. Of course, do you know where the money flows today? In the food, beverage, and tobacco. But mostly everything red. They are, and I'm careful with my words, but when Alibaba, these are Chinese names, drops 15% off this news, when Baidu falls 11%, how about FUTU down 12%? That's a slaughter in one day. So the China market's getting whacked. Emerging markets getting whacked. Foreign markets getting whacked. And if you are left with a 3% drop in your stock today, you're good. There's your story. And my commentary on this is simple. Doesn't the president know he already crashed the markets once with big tariffs and big tariff talk? It's a simple question. I gather he does. I gather the Treasury Secretary does. And I gather it's now 3:27. The president knows what the market's doing today. I have no clue what happens Monday. I have no clue whether the president changes his mind and comes out with a little nicer rhetoric. Or I have no clue if he comes back on the weekend and puts the fork in with big tariffs. And of course, I watch some people on TV after all this is going, oh, don't worry. Worry! Why? I don't know about you, but in the last go-round in tariff mania, the S&P dropped 22%. Anybody want 22% drop? By the way, we're not predicting that. The S&P's down 2% right now, maybe a little bit of 2%. NASDAQ 100 is down worse than that, 2.8. Make that 3. And leave no doubt this is all because the president, the most powerful man on earth that controls the purse strings of a $30 trillion economy, comes out and talks big tariffs again. That's today. Monday, I don't know. I must tell you, I am disheartened. I want the president out of this. I don't want any more tariffs. It hurts us, not them. We already know that he hurt the farmers with tariffs, and he's going to pay them back. With our tax dollars, so he knows they're no fun. But guess what? We have no control of the situation except we know how to control the money. Where this stops, I don't know. What he does, I don't know. All I can tell you that some very harsh words out of him caused a nice little dump today. And again, I wish I had better things to tell you, but he is the most powerful man on earth. And whether he learned a lesson or not, I think ego gets in the way. And that's the story. Now, there are those that say, don't worry, we'll have thoughts. That's up next on this, the one and only Investor's Edge. Ba-da-da-da-da-da. And you know what we always say about football games? Whoever controls the line is going to win. And they really controlled the line. And they ripped their hearts out to the point where, I have to tell you, the Eagles just looked dead in the water at the end of the game. My new Giants quarterback looks real deal. I hate to say that so soon, but he looks really good. Jackson Dart. Yay. Anyway, we're still 2-4, Phillies 4-2, but man, everything's about the offensive and defensive line. If you can control that. All right, that's our sports for the day. So let's talk the market here. Kind of simplistic. Before we even came into today, what did we tell you about the market? Well, we told you restaurants, housing related, most retail. Recently, the travel related like airlines and cruise lines and hotels, auto dealers and autos. We have been telling you that some of the financials were going by the wayside, especially private equity and investment managers, truckers and rails. We have been telling you there's some oils that are better, but most blah. We have been telling you our left screen is laden with very, very weak technology /stocks, while a select group has been the strength. Well, they're getting the select group today, unfortunately. To what extent, we don't know. It's just one day, but it's icky. And right now, as we move towards the close, Dow down 760, NASDAQ down 715. Wish we had better news. I can now throw in the fact that, today's worsening. Yesterday, we did a little dissertation of stocks breaking the 50-day moving average. Guess what? More stocks broke the 50-day moving average today. The problem we have now is we don't know what he's going to say next or do next. We don't know what the president's going to say next or do next. Therein lies our problem. And it's a pretty darn good problem. Because when you have one man that has such control, and just remember, he crashed the market back in April. Personally, with Liberation Day and the uncertainty before Liberation Day. The banks broke the 50-day today. The regionals were already weak. The big banks and the banking area, that's a near-term top. Worsening just everything, and as we've told you, the consumer areas like restaurants and retail and housing and airlines and cruise lines and hotels, yikes. Something like a Booking Holdings, yikes. Smeared. All because the president, big tariffs on China. And why does China matter so much? Because they make a crap load of stuff that comes over here. That's why. That's why. They make a crap load of stuff that comes here. And they are the second biggest economy in the world. I think Europe together is close. I don't want to say here we go again, but I think that's apropos. Because as bad as it is as we go to the close, we don't know if he just changes his mind or pulls back over the weekend and we bust open to the upside on Monday. That's the deal we have with this man, who, by the way, we praise profusely for what he's done in the Middle East. Thus, my love-dislike with the president, not love-hate. And there's your story. And it matters. There's your story. And it matters. As I look at the big indices in real time right now, they have still not broke the 50-day. And really, all they have done is give back the last 8 days of trading. So in the big scheme of things, not the biggest a deal, but it still sucks. Because it should not have to be. It shouldn't have to be. So we want to repeat a couple things. We have absolutely no idea what's next from him. 0%. As John Vernon said in Animal House, 0.0. Have no clue. No clue. If he changes his mind, what do I think happens? The market bounces. Is the die cast no matter what? I don't know. And what that means is, do we have wheels in motion no matter what? Meaning we were due for this to happen, and this is the push. I don't know. How's that for a lot of certainty? What else up next on this, the one and only Investor's Edge? And welcome once again to Investor's Edge. So let's pieces of the puzzle. Number one, the technical condition is definitely worsened today. And what the technical condition is chart patterns that typically play out. That said, when we're dealing with the President of the United States, the leader of the free world that has so much looking for a word, so much reactionary to him and his moves, you just got to throw up your arms and say you just don't know. Except to say, we knew going into today, we don't own retail, housing, housing related, rails, truckers, most of the oils. Well, we don't own any oils, but the oils, whenever a group is 90% not good, we're not buying the 10%. Auto dealers, autos, and when we say retail, we mean retail of all kind. Recently, the airlines, cruise lines, hotels topped out. Waste management has been embarrassed. The rails, truckers, transports, bleh. Insurance has been no friend, though they never get real bad. What else? They just topped out recently some of the stronger casino stocks. The non-AI economically sensitive names, there's a bunch of them in downtrends. As we said, the restaurants, those aren't just bear markets, those are brutal bear markets. The financials, we have been telling you recently, boy, these private equity companies, we even told you yesterday, look up First Brands. And we also mentioned yesterday these auto equipment stocks yesterday. Well, First Brands is in that business, and that's cause and effect. There's a bankruptcy, and there's worried about credit and all that crap. What else? The junk bonds. The junk bonds had topped yesterday. And guess what they're doing today? They're worse. So we got some market issues going on here right now, just letting you know. And it's on the president, just letting you know. We say that with any bias, agenda, ulterior motive, but as fact. We have no clue. Let me repeat this again because this is imperative. We have no clue if he looks at the market and says, holy crap, and backtracks, or makes nicer. Because as I stated, these are his words. One of the policies that we are calculating at this moment is a massive increase of tariffs on Chinese products. That was the money quote. That was the money quote. What we will do now, as always, when the market has a little strife, what ain't going down? What's holding up best? What's going on? The problem with that is, at its initial move down, usually everything's taken down. And I do want to report to you, next week, are you ready? Tuesday before the open, get this, BlackRock, Citigroup, Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, and Wells Fargo, monstrously sized banks. And Domino's Pizza. Wednesday before the open, ASML, very important semiconductor, which is getting trashed the last 3 days. Bank America, another big bank, in Morgan Stanley. After the close on Wednesday is J.B. Hunt, Port and Trucker, and UAL, and Las Vegas Sands. Thursday before the open, Bank of New York, another big bank. Schwab, M&T Bank, Key Corp, U.S. Bank, 3 regionals, and Travelers, that's in the Dow, big insurance company. Thursday after, Taiwan Semi, or maybe in the morning. Very important semi. And then Friday, American Express in the Dow, State Street Bank, Truist, the old SunTrust, and I still don't know why they changed the name to Truist. I don't get it. SunTrust is such a good name. SunTrust. Truist. That's so stupid. Truist. Does Truist even mean anything, by the way? I'm Googling it. Truist. No, I got to do Truist definition. Let's see even that's a word. Truist can referring to a financial services company. How's that? Purpose-driven financial service company. So it's not even a word. So you go from SunTrust to Truist. It's just like Outback Steakhouse went to Bloomin' Brands. What? Facebook went to Meta? Huh? And I think they lost billions on Meta anyhow. Markets bounced a little bit. It was just down 820. It's now down 720. NASDAQ down 693, NASDAQ 100 734. The SOX 370, transports 483. Advanced declines are putrid, of course. In the Dow today, McDonald's is up. Do you know McDonald's is like a defensive restaurant? Every time the market gets trashed, it seems to like go up a little bit. But that's been dead money for a long while anyhow. McDonald's stock is done same as where it was March of 23. And I used to live at McDonald's. In college, Chicken McNuggets. I was the king of Chicken McNuggets, but I never checked what they made Chicken McNuggets with. If I did, I probably would have had them. So anyway, that's your market day. We're kind of sort of taking into the close. I mean, I really wish I had better news, and I really wish I can give you some sort of sense of certainty. I can't. The sense of certainty is the bare areas we're staying away from. They worsened today. The other sense of certainty is they're getting some other areas and names today. And we'll avoid them until they get better. But if President Trump says never mind on the weekend, gap back up 700 points. By the way, I'm not kidding when I say that, and it's that tough. You know what else happened today, which is actually a little bit of good news? The 10-year yield is down a stick. Down to 4.051, down 0.97, almost a stick. That's a huge drop. That's great for mortgages. Interesting enough, housing stocks aren't up, though, because the market's weak. But that's good to see. And oil prices down almost $3. That's good. Fundamentally, can't ask for anything better. And by the way, oil prices looks like they're breaking to the downside here. That's good news. There's nothing better fundamentally than oil prices and interest rates dropping. Cost of capital and the cost of energy dropping is great news, but if it's dropping because of nefarious, that's not necessarily good news. But we'll take it for now. As I'm looking at my screens, beat red except for food, beverage, tobacco, and why do they do well today? Oh, by the way, waste management also, because they're the most kind of sort of defensive areas. Gold's bouncing after yesterday's trashing. I will promise you gold would have been down today if the market wasn't down like it is. But that's bouncing also. And in the Dow, you ready for the up? Johnson & Johnson, Coca-Cola, I mentioned McDonald's, and Walmart. And there's your day. It's 3:49 p.m. And again, we were coming into today, we were just going to praise profusely the president and blast. Have you noticed the Free Palestine people and politicians are not out there? Have you noticed that? Just so you know, they don't care about Palestine. They don't care about the Palestinians. They hate the Jews. They hate Israel. They hate democracy. That's really who these people are, by the way. Remember, all they cared about. And you had a couple of mudhounds out there still talking apartheid and talking about occupation. And we just want you to remember again, Israel left Gaza in 2005. Uprooted families, Jewish families, took them out. And Gaza turned into a crap hole. Why? They plundered everything. Up next, we'll take you to the close. I'm Gary. This is the one and only Investor's Edge. Welcome once again to Investor's Edge. It's 351, down 750 and 720. That's the Dow and the NASDAQ as we head into the close. And we just have to repeat again, and we mean this. We have no clue what happens on Monday because we don't know what the president's going to follow through with. And he has been known to backtrack. He is known to change his mind based on markets. We know that. When he crashed the market back in April, they changed their mind over the weekend on the liberation trade the Liberation Day tariffs because the markets were crashing and the economy was going to slow to a crawl. And on that Monday, they were rolling it back. But then a rumor came out that they were going to pause the Liberation Day. So because it leaked, they waited till Wednesday. And on Wednesday, boom. That's the whole story. So we don't know. And we don't know if we gap down on Monday. We don't know if we gap up on Monday. We just know that before today, there was some freaking issues in the market already, and today it worsened. And typically the market is a forecaster of things to come. These days it is a day for day based on the president. Whether it's the next deal, we've seen stocks skyrocket in the last 3 weeks. Some very speculative stuff because they took positions in companies. Or they announced this industry or that industry. So there's a lot of moving parts, and again, we hate that part. We want government out of the free markets, Republican or Democrat or Whig Party or independent, does not matter to us. Again, no agenda, ulterior motive, or bias on that. And here we go again. What were our tactics today? We took some off the table. And without naming names, ones that really had a China component to it. But we've still been riding up the big indices since right after April 24th. But I must tell you, we're going to make some decisions on that. Just in case. And we'll see what happens Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday and Friday and Saturday. Some of the strongest stocks in the market, just the machete came out and cut them off at the knees. That's what happened today. Even the best of the best. Names that look ready to break out, nope. Names that were hanging in there, nope. And into the close, we're falling off again. Down 820, down 774. Yippee-yay-yay. Again, wish we had more to tell you. But uncertain times it is. And we like to put a good spin, but it's very tough. Market doesn't care about us. And we'll see what comes up. If you'd like to email me over the weekend, any questions. But again, we're in the midst of this moment where, again, the president goes front and center and causes some upheaval. And what's next? Really don't know. Really don't know. But come Monday, we'll have a better idea. And I can't begin to tell you how important this tariff thing is. I can't begin to tell you how important this tariff thing is. The hope is, the big hope is that he sees the market and recognizes the market's bigger than him. I can promise you that. We'll be doing big webcasts this weekend. If you want to join in, and I've never mentioned this, but why not this weekend? You go to GaryK.com and sign up for Conviction Leaders. There's 1 month free, no obligation. We'll do probably 500 stocks this weekend. Should be quite interesting. We're really rooting for the guy. But he's getting in the face again. This should be easy. And he makes it difficult. Oh, but Gary, the market's been strong because they've gotten out of the way. And some bubbles. Besides the fact. In other news, I don't think I have other news. Wish I did. You can read all about other news. The most important part of our equation will be scanning this thing into the weekend. As we head into the close, got about a minute left. 865 on the Dow, 812 on the NASDAQ. Try to have a great weekend. We will. And drive carefully. When you get home, do like we do. Quite simple. Make sure you hug your family. Make sure you hug your children. They will feel better. You will feel better. I promise. Stay well. Be well. Thanks for joining. Good night.